What's up, y'all? It's your boy Dells. Okay. And as you all know, I'm here as usual weekly. I do this Facebook Live with Dells weekly, and I'm excited about this one in particular for a few reasons, and you will see shortly. but I'm going to get right into it. I'm not going to waste no time. As you know, all right, so we've been inundated in America the last 4 months with this whole COVID-19 thing. And it's literally doing a number on our nation. And as well, at the same time, unfortunately, we've had some recent deaths of our African-American men, African-American people, period, at the hands of our police officers in our country. Police brutality and racism has gone crazy. We got Karens now. I love our people. We just make up names. Like we just call people stuff. We got Karens in America. It's a lot going on. And I said to myself one day, this can't be only in America. Can't be only happening in America. It has to be going on across the world, especially with all of the Black Lives Matter movements, protests and marches that are going on across the world. Something has to be going on in other countries. So I reached out to some of my favorite people and inquired about what's going on in their world. And then I said, well, how about you guys come on to my Facebook Live? And they were like, yeah, I'll do it. So I'm very grateful to them. I am going to bring them all on at the same time, but I'm going to introduce them individually. So first up, all right, I need you guys to put your virtual hands together for Sadie. Sadie, she's like, I'm going to be first. Sadie, got you. I got you. She's like, I got you. You should have knew. You should have been ready. Okay, be also ready. Okay.
Days ready.
So Sadie, I'm going to introduce them a little bit more once they all come on. But this is Sadie. So you guys put your virtual hands together for Sadie. All right. And next, so we're in London right now. Okay. Mm-hmm. Next, we are going to, where are we going? We're going to South Africa. Put your virtual hands together for Lindy.
Hello.
Come on with your little bun. I see your little bun on top. Okay, I see your little cute bun. Okay. She was like, I ain't do my hair today. I just need to wrap up real quick. Okay, it's okay. Literally. So literally. Okay, so now we are going to one of my places I have to visit before I die. Well, actually, I have to go all of these places before I die because I just haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
But now we are going to Paris. Boom. Put your virtual hands together for Angele. Did I say it right? Angele? I put the E on. See, I put the E on the end. I might as well stay in America, stay in Brooklyn, stay in Jersey, because I can't do it. Anyway, thank you, ladies, for coming on. I appreciate you all.
Thank you.
How are you?
Thank you.
How are you?
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Good.
Okay, I see everybody got their hair did and y'all looking cute and stuff. Like I see you. I see you. All right, so okay, this is what we're gonna do. I like to when I have guests, I like to, because most of my guests are people who I know. So I like to share with the people how I know you. So I'm going to start in London and with Sadie. Sadie is my niece, okay? And she adopted me, okay? It's probably the other way around. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to find a live on. It's all right. It's probably the other way around. But she's my niece from London, and we met, I think it was in 2009. I don't know, 2008. I don't even know. 2008, when her and her good friend Michaela came over to America, and I was asked to take them around on a New York, New Jersey tour. Michaela was a poet, so she wanted to do some gigs around here. And as I was into talent booking and talent management at that time, the individual thought it'd be fit for me to do it, so I did it. And I met these two, and we've been family ever since. I did have. Let me see if I have it. Let me see, guys. I think I have it. Look at this. That is Sadie and Michaela, and I think we were out that night. I think Sadie was recording Michaela's every move, and I guess she was proofing it. I guess Michaela was proofing it, and then this one was at the house. Okay, I know you're gonna kill me. This was at the house And there they both go with their. Now see, look, today would have been two phones. They literally had cameras, and Sadie was recording everything. I mean everything. Yeah. Sadie, you were recording everything.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff I don't want to see. I'm glad you didn't have a chance to put the stuff up because you probably would embarrass me. So Sadie, that's how Sadie and I met, and like I said, we've been family ever since, and I love her to death. So thank you, Sadie, for coming on today. And then we have Lindy, who is my other niece from, I don't know, it's from Australia via South Africa or South Africa via Australia.
Australia via South Africa.
What she said, yeah. Mm-hmm. And Lindy is another one who adopted me as her uncle, okay, because it wasn't the other way around. I'm going to stick to that story. Lindy and I were trying to talk on the phone the other day and trying to figure out how we met. And we're going to date ourselves, Lindy, but clearly I'm a little older than you. But it was MySpace. That's the only thing we could conclude. It was MySpace. We met on MySpace, and you guys know how long ago MySpace was out? A long time ago. So I've been knowing Lindy for a long time, and I was supposed to go to Australia one day, but now she's in South Africa, so I guess I got to go to South Africa. Okay, but I'm still going to go to Australia. That's on my bucket list as well.
I'll connect you to the right people.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So I don't get, because I don't know the language. I don't know nothing. All I know is they speak English. Okay, but the accent is, I'm sure, is pretty strong out there. I don't know. I'll see when I get there.
A little bit.
Yeah, I'll see when I get there. Okay, so we're going to Paris, France. To Angèle. I said it right. Angèle. Yes. Okay, come on, man. I said it. Angèle, literally, we met like maybe 3 days ago because of a mutual friend, Ariane, who's my sister. Ariane, so I told Ariane what I wanted to do, and she said, I got somebody who will be perfect for that. And so she reached out to Angèle. Angèle graciously said yes. And so I'm grateful to you, Angèle. I appreciate you for coming on at not the last minute, but it was a minute before the last minute. Yeah. And you say yes to come on. So we are gonna dig in, ladies. Again, thank you. I can't say thank you enough for coming on. I'm gonna see, we have some comments. Okay, Seth just said good afternoon. Hey Seth, how you doing? So listen, we are gonna talk about coronavirus. I'm sorry, she's just in my head. Coronavirus. And Angèle, because Ariane doesn't curse, so she says, coronavirus. This issue's real. I'm like, just stop, just stop. I love her. She's probably on. But it's just hilarious. So her voice rings in my mind when I say coronavirus. So listen, we're gonna be talking about COVID-19, police brutality, and racism. And like I said before, as you know, America's been riddled with all three of these things. This COVID-19, I personally experienced some individuals who lost their lives from it, and rest in peace to them. And I'm still praying for their families. And then with the whole racism thing, this is not something that's brand new to us. We've been suffering with racism for over 400 years. But now with the invention of these phones and all this, we can capture it now. They can't get away with it now. Okay. We got Karens, like I said before, in America, who we dubbed. Karens are everywhere. I bet Karens are everywhere. We dubbed them Karens. I don't know where they got the name from, but it's typically Caucasian women who voice some type of complaint or call 911 on the African American man because he's either walking or barbecuing or sitting in his car. And he looked at. I watched one this morning where she called because he looked at her suspiciously from across the street, like across the street, not next door, across the street. So we have Karens and we have all types of stuff going on with racism in America. And then we have the whole police brutality thing, which sparked up this Black Lives Matter movement, which was already in place, but just it's turned up over the last couple of months. So we're going to talk about these three things. So where are we going to start? We're going to start with COVID. Okay. So ladies, if you let me know, like, kind of how, when COVID started, because for us it started in like the end of February, beginning of March. How did the onset of it play out in your individual countries?
Mm.
If you remember,
Yeah,
I know
think
it seems like 14 years ago, but
I think it was similar for us actually. I think we started around the end of Feb because I remember I went to Dubai like mid Feb, and when I came back, I think that's when it was starting to get traction. And then around, I think it was like the mid March is when we actually went into lockdown. But it's funny because I feel like at the start it was quite played down, and like there were so many like voice notes going around on WhatsApp going, you know, it's just like the flu, don't worry about it, just wash your hands and it's not that big a deal and blah blah blah. And then like our own prime minister was pretty similar, like just don't worry about it. He was going around hospitals shaking people's hands and just being like, yeah, it's fine. And then yeah, maybe like a month after that it was
oh, Sadie got stuck.
That's stuck.
At least that's a cute stuck because you know sometimes. There you go.
She's back.
She was back.
Oh.
No, that's not a cute stuck. Sadie is stuck.
Oh no, she'll be back.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay. I don't know where you head up to.
Your prime minister.
Yeah, so then he was kind of playing it down as well, just going around hospitals, shaking people's hands, being like, oh, it's fine. You know, really kind of downplaying the situation. And then so we probably could have gone into lockdown a lot earlier and prevented a lot of death. But he was really like just not interested and no one was really taking it seriously. And then subsequently, obviously, then the nation wasn't really taking it as serious. And then maybe like getting in towards April, then it was like, oh damn, like this is actually killing people now. And then it suddenly became a panic. And then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, and you got to do this and this particular group's got to shield and we can't go. Like it just became like chaotic when it didn't really need to be, especially when our kind of European neighbors in Spain and Italy, it hit them really hard. And I don't understand why we could see visibly that it was not going well for them and then just not do anything about it here. I thought that was really odd.
So imagine.
Yeah, guys, say, oh yeah, you guys are close knit, so you can imagine what was going on in France, right?
Yeah.
You see how Sadie just threw that Dubai in there, right? She's gonna throw that Dubai in there. So when I was in Dubai, you know, that's like a big thing in America to go to Dubai. Like first of all, far. Okay.
Dubai is like people go to Dubai a lot here.
Yeah, not here. You're just gonna still show up. You're just gonna keep showing up. Okay. We go to Dubai every week. It's a weekly thing.
The last trip I'm gonna be on in a while, so you know, let me just relish in it for a bit.
Yeah, right. Okay, all right. You got your relishment. Okay, you can lay your relishment all over it. Angel?
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, friend, in between like Spain and Italy, and they're very cool about it at first. Like, oh, it's never gonna touch us. You know, French people, we always that things are happening to the rest of the world, but never to us. Like racism, no. COVID-19, never.
No.
And have the Alps separating us, the mountains separating us from Italy, and it was hitting hard in Italy, and we were like stoic, not doing much, and all of a sudden lockdown. So everybody's at work, and like we need to do something. We need to prepare for something to happen, and everybody's like, yeah, it's just gonna last a few days and everything. So nobody wanted to close the I work as a psychologist. I worked in an institution and nobody wanted to close the institution. We have like 20 autistic kids every day that know no boundaries, like touching you, grabbing you, fluids all over you and them and everything. So we were like, this is not sanitary at any way, in any way. So March 17th, they finally decided to get us in lockdown. And since then, we are like supposedly wearing masks in the subway, in the public areas, like grocery shopping. You have your mask in the subway. You have your mask. We had like letters to go out during the day while it was locked. You had 1 hours allowed per day, and everybody was like filling up papers saying like, oh, we are going grocery shopping, we are going for medical appointment, or helping the people in need, like the elders and everything. So everybody was like kind of feeling it was a way for the government to track us down, because then we had an app, and you had to feel like the same paper that you feel on actual paper, you had to fill it on the app. The government people were like, so now the government knows when I leave my house, where I'm going, what to do, and everything. So people were very skeptical about it. Like, is it for real? Until this day, French people are like, yeah, this is weird. This is not really for real. So
the whole conspiracy theory thought, right?
Yeah. And the whole, like, I know nobody that was touched, that was affected by it. So everybody's like, I know nobody affected by it. So that was, you know.
You know, the interesting thing is that as many people died from this COVID-19, still people believe that it's a ploy of the government. I don't understand it. Now, if you get it, what are you going to believe then? You know, are you going to believe there's a ploy from the government? I recently traveled down south. I only went to North Carolina, Sadie. I didn't go to, in special country. And the Uber driver was telling me how his parents, of course they're Trump supporters, his parents believed the same thing. That the whole, don't laugh, Lindy, the whole COVID-19 is a conspiracy. They don't want to wear masks. And they literally get offended if he wears a mask while he's at their house. He's like, so I just don't go. Like, I'm not even beat for that. And he was a Caucasian dude, and he just couldn't believe how his parents thought. And I'm like, these people raised you. You didn't know that? So it's still a conspiracy theory in America as well. What about you, Lindy? How did it start over there?
Well, for us, it started, I think, we went from completely everything was normal to complete lockdown. So I remember it was, I think, 26th of March. Things were still normal. People could go and come as they please. And then we started noticing people were coming from holidays. So a lot of people were coming in from holidays from other countries and all of that. So it was like one case of, people are coming in. They've got this, they first called it the Chinese virus, which I think is racist. But they came in, they said, they've got this virus that's coming in and we're going to quarantine. So the country was still running until the 26th of March. The president was like, we're going to shut the country down for 2 weeks. So then for the 2 weeks we shut down, after that, it was kind of just like the numbers just started growing. So the thing is, here in Africa, we had the thing where we were kind of like, because we saw what was happening across the world and we were like, oh no, it's not affecting Africa as much. I wonder why, you know what I mean? So we had that thing of, okay, it's not affecting us. I wonder why. And then when it started affecting us, I think South Africa is like the most affected country at the moment in Africa. So when it affected us, it was kind of like complete lockdown. So it was supposed to be for 2 weeks initially. And then after 2 weeks, they were like, another 4 weeks. And we're like, okay, this thing is serious, right? But then you still have people that are kind of like, no, but it's not serious. It's a government ploy. Because the thing is, a lot of people still had the thing of, we had certain people coming to the country in December. So what if they came in and brought things and they're trying to just, the whole like conspiracy theories and everything. So, and then with that as well, so basically we've just kind of gone into, so we kind of gravitating, like we have 5 stages of lockdown. So we have stage 5, stage 4. So in the first month we were in stage 5, which is complete lockdown. You can't go out. You can only go out for essentials. Then we went to stage 4, which was kind of like, okay, allow people to go out maybe 1 hour, 3 hours a day, go and exercise, go do what you need to do, but come back home. Then we're in stage 3 right now. Stage 3 is kind of, we're going to give them freedoms. We're going to open up the bottle stores and everything. Cigarettes are not allowed. The sale of cigarettes are not allowed. And people took advantage of that.
What is the bottle stores? Is that the liquor stores?
Liquor stores, yeah. Liquor stores. So we had, liquor was allowed.
We could turn up in COVID.
No.
We could turn up in COVID.
They shut it down. They were like, no. So now they've shut it down again because they're like, you guys don't know how to behave. No more liquor for you guys. So, That's where we're at right now. So we had the president had a thing yesterday where it was like, you guys don't know how to behave. We need to take away the liquor. We need masks. We have to wear masks everywhere. So you can't go anywhere without a mask. You're not allowed to go into any store. If you don't have a mask, you're not allowed to enter the store. You have to, like, also, what do they call it? Hand sanitizer. You have to have some on your hand, or they provide it for you. But I guess it's the new normal, so you just get used to it. So.
Absolutely. You guys, you sound like the stages were interesting because we have our stages are now coming off of the lockdown. Like we did it a little backwards, a little different from you guys. Angel, go ahead. I'm sorry. You have 5 stages. Look how big my hands are. Goodness grief. So Angel, somebody told me that you work in a hospital.
Yes, I do.
So how did COVID play out in the hospital that you work at?
So I'm a psychologist in a hospital. We receive people with neurological issues like AVC. It's like brain damage and everything. But the thing is, we have a day hospital where we receive patients that need PT, physical therapy. But they come in the morning to get therapy, and they go back in the evening. We had to close this special thing in the hospital because we couldn't afford to have
clinic.
Huh?
Is it a clinic? A clinic?
It kind of is, yeah. So people come in the morning, they get the physical therapy, they get all the things that they need to get from the hospital, and they go and they come back the next day. So we had to shut it down because having people coming and you don't know where they've been at night, you don't know who they've seen and everything. So it was a danger for the rest of the patient that stays in the hospital. And we actually had a place that was a lockdown because we had COVID positive patients. So you couldn't get in or get out as easily as we usually do. So first, we didn't have masks at the hospital. We didn't have enough masks. So they say 4 hours with a mask, and we had to stick with the same mask the entire day. We didn't have gowns. So when we had the full package of stuff to put on in order to see the patient with COVID, so you had that, like the gowns, the paper gowns, the plastic napron, the gloves, the mask, the glasses, and the another thing on top, and then you could go and see and treat patients. But typically I would receive like a patient post-COVID, so the cold case, like where they had the COVID for like 2-3 weeks, and they went to reanimation, like they went under and then they wake them up.
A coma.
Yeah, they went under in coma, and then they wake them up. And when they woke them up, they send them to my hospital. So we had all the patients that was like kind of traumatized, like they properly, they couldn't walk. Some of them been in coma for 3 weeks, and they've been like, I had the flu, regular flu. Next thing I know, I'm in the hospital, and they're sending me under, So some of them, they have like bad stories to tell. They were kind of traumatized and kind of like, what happened to me? Like, I have a 3-week time lapse in my life that is gone. Like,
Wow. So your job is about to ramp up because as I understand, there'll be a lot of there's a lot of mental anguish that goes along with this whole COVID-19, and then post-COVID, or like I mentioned on this live before, that my boss had it, and my colleague told me that my boss is going to probably need some psychological help later on because, like you said, that's 3 weeks out of your life, or 4 weeks, or however many weeks out of your life that you don't know about. My boss was in a medically induced coma for a month on events. So it's your job is about to ramp up big time
with the patients and also with the healthcare people. the new normal. But now I have like nurses, I have doctors. They kind of are PTSD. Like I caught the COVID, and they kind of feel angry at the same time. Like very tired, very angry. They were supposed to have like a money, like a little bonus at the for the hospital workers, and many of my coworkers, they came up and they've been like, they gave me half the bonus, like because I was on a medical leave because I got the COVID. So I was out of I couldn't come to work because I had the COVID, and instead of giving me the full bonus, they giving me the half bonus. But nationally, the country, they said, like, if you had the COVID and you're supposed to be working at the hospital, they give you the full bonus. So now they'll be like, so now I have to prove to my employee that I had the COVID, and that's why I couldn't come to work. So people are kind of like very angry.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine. If you promised me some money and you didn't give me my money, I'm gonna be upset too. Okay.
And the worst is that the people that are working at the administration for the hospital, they were all working home, so they don't get in the mess with they don't see patients, they don't come to the hospital, they stay home, and they got the full bonus.
Wow, you see that? That's what I'm saying. There's gonna be some problems. Okay, they don't give them their money. Okay, it's gonna be some problems. Sadie, that little $20 you owe me, I want my money. Okay, stop playing. I'm kidding. You don't owe me no money. So that's a good segue. I wanted to ask, what if you guys know this? If you don't, it's okay. How is the economy being affected in your respective countries in regards to COVID? Because I know America, it's a lot going on here. Unemployment rates are through the roof. People are stressed out. I have some therapist friends, Angel, and who they're like, they can't stop with the therapy, like their talk therapy and on video and phone calls.
Yeah.
One of them is a client of mine who I'm supposed to be doing her website for, and she couldn't even get to me because she was so busy talking to her client, her patients. How has the economy been affected over there, guys? Girls, sorry. Gals.
Well, I know here they've given a lot of financial help. So there are a lot of the countries on furlough, where they're paying up to 80% of people's wages. There are grants for self-employed and small businesses. So there's a lot of financial assistance going towards people. So it's great now, but I definitely reckon that this will be paying for this soon. And like all the articles are saying that this is going to be our deepest recession and like since the beginning of time.
Wow.
Yeah, at the moment it's not looking good for a lot of retail shops. A lot of shops have had to close down, restaurants and stuff like that. So yeah, we're just seeing the beginning of it now, but I do reckon we're gonna be in hard times very, very soon. Yeah,
I can imagine. It sounds like out here.
Yeah.
Lindy, what do you think?
I don't. Yeah, look, South Africa. I think for us, the issue that we're having right now is corruption, and we've been promised. There was a lot of money that was promised, and a lot of people are not getting social grants, food grants. It's to the point where people like myself are fighting for the rights of people getting basic necessities because people in government are not handing them out, or they, example, that like it was 3 weeks, not even 3 weeks, like a month and a half ago, the president was on live talking about, we're going to hand out grants to people for people who've been unemployed or lost their jobs and everything. People say apply. They're going to apply, and then they get the news that, you don't qualify. And it's like, what do you mean I don't qualify? You know what I mean? You told me to apply for this. I've lost my job. I can't go to work because all the industries are down. I apply for this and everything. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, you told me to apply for this, and then I don't qualify. It's like, where am I going to get the money for this? And then also in dealing, like South Africa, as beautiful as a country it is, we've been dealing with a lot of corruption. and it's corruption in the levels from higher up or like going down, you know what I mean? So with that as well, when you have a lot of money, you can't just go on like it's not monitored. So the thing is, you can say, okay, we've allocated 500 billion rand or something like that, but that 500 billion rand, you have to make sure, you have to see the pipelines, you have to see where that money goes, because a lot of people are looking at that and thinking, I'm going to line my pockets with this. And that's the issue that we have right now, where we have a lot of people that are literally in poverty at the moment, you know what I mean? In poverty, gone from having something to having nothing, because there's people that are greedy and are lining up their pockets. So I would say at the moment, South Africa is in a recession. We're going through a recession. We're trying to get out of it. But then how do you get out of a recession when the same people that are supposed to be helping the country are the ones that are crippling the country? You know what I mean? So I think that's where we are. And it's kind of like, even like people have lost faith in government officials, in the president, in all of that, because it's like every single time you say something, you're promising something. When elected, you promise something, but you never deliver. So it's like, it's pointless, you know what I mean? So people are kind of just they're like, you know what, I'm just going to hustle, do what I have to do, but I don't care what the government says, because they're not looking out for me. So that's where we are right now.
You know, I hear your voice cracking, and I'm sure it's
frustrating.
I was going to say that.
It is, because you go out and you see people, and it's kind of like, it's like the divide is crazy in this country, you know what I mean? It makes me so frustrated, because I can go out and I'm like, you know what, look, I'm okay. I've got it better off as other people, but for me, it makes me feel a little bit guilty, because I'm like, why is it I can have everything, but then the person, the common man, cannot have things, you know what I mean? It makes me feel guilty, but at the same time, it's like, it's my responsibility as a citizen to make sure that everybody is equal. But that's the thing that you don't find here in this country, you know what I mean? Like, yes, you can have all the tourism coming in, whatever, but at the same time, it's just like there's this inequality that's happening. And then COVID makes it even worse, because I don't know, it's just, you know, sometimes you just kind of like, Lord, can you just fix the country? You know what I mean? If it means you have to remove everyone in leadership, do it, because people cannot keep suffering like this, and then everybody's kind of smiling and like, oh no, it's a beautiful country. It's like, yeah, okay, fine, but then people are dying. So
I'm sorry, Lindy.
Oh, no.
I really hear it in your voice.
I'm just passionate about stuff like this.
Can we both just give Lindy a hug, please? Just give her.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry about that. You know, the interesting thing is that here in America, so they gave us $1,200, $500 for kids under 18, $1,200 for each adult in the house. And even with that, people are complaining. And you're like, wait a minute. You just have $1,200 extra dollars in your pocket that you didn't have before. Whether you lost your job or not, if you did, I heard an individual complain that still had their job throughout the entire COVID pandemic, and they were complaining that why wasn't it $2,000 like Canada? Because Canada gave their citizens $2,000. Are you serious? You're complaining about $1,200 that you didn't have in your pocket? Come on. And then there's people in South Africa who, exactly what Lindy said? Come on. I don't like it, Lindy.
$35 a month, and they still haven't got it. People don't qualify for $35.
$35.
I know. And what's $35 going to get you? But people are hanging on to that. And it's like, you still, you don't qualify. So
I'm sorry about that, Lindy.
No, I feel terrible.
Oh no, it's
reflecting that my country people here are complaining when we have plenty. We have plenty, and they are helping us.
Right.
And this is heartbreaking.
Okay, what we're not going to do is start cheering up on this thing. Okay, that's what we're not going to do. I'm too big for that. Okay, listen. Go ahead, Lindy. I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. It's all good.
You're about to say something.
Oh, look, I even lost my train of thought.
It's okay. It'll come back. So yeah, I mean, this whole COVID-19 is unfortunate. Again, rest in peace to individuals who you guys may have lost. I know I lost several people who were not in my immediate circle of family and friends, but I knew them and they were important to me. And so just as you know, as their families are mourning, I'm mourning as well. And so, you know, rest in peace to them. Hopefully this COVID-19 thing goes away soon. We will have a new norm. It's not going to be the same. But I hope this new norm, put smile on people's faces, because we've been frowning for a long time. We've been sad for a long time. These 4 months have indeed felt like a whole year. I'm telling you, I've never been I'm not a house person. I've never been sat in my house for so long. I almost died. I promise you. I had to ask Jesus to come down and resurrect me, because man, listen, if it wasn't for me having to go to church twice a week, and go to the supermarket, they probably would have found me in the house dead. But I'm not, thank God. So we're gonna switch over to racism and brutality. And this is a hot topic. I have a few articles that I'm going to share before we start that I found on the internet. One is, let me see. One is, let's go to the UK real quick. If you guys can see it, I'm going to play it though for you all real quick. It's only 3 minutes. So let's watch this real quick.
Can you turn the sound up a bit?
I did?
I don't know. I can't hear it very well. I thought it was just me, but then someone else has said, never mind. It's over.
Oh. Well, that wouldn't make sense if there's no sound. Okay, this is hold on. That was in Suffolk. Is that is that London, or is that just
No, that's not
it's the UK though, right?
the UK. It is the UK, and that's not uncommon. I think the whole police thing, especially young black males, being stopped and searched. I think the statistic is like we're 8 times more likely to be stopped and searched just with no real reason other than we look suspicious.
Sounds like America.
Yeah. So that one was interesting though, because I think it was.
Sadie froze. Well, I'm going to share this one. Here is a gentleman.
It's like a family.
Okay. Sadie, you back?
So
she's froze. So this is in Le Pic.
hello.
How you say that, Angel? Le
Pec, France.
France. I was close. Now this happened 3 days after George Floyd died. This situation happened 3 days after he died. A lawmaker in France said we cannot say the American situation is foreign to us, says French lawmaker who has pushed the ban on police use of face-down holds that are implicated in multiple deaths in France. Parliamentary effort put on hold by the coronavirus. So apparently, this chokehold is not something that's only in America. Then we have
a great deal of bad stuff here. This physical containment, this chokehold, happened on a black man named Adama Traoré 4 years ago. He was arrested by the police, and they were running after him. So they say they were looking for his brother, and he got in the mix. He tried to escape, and they ran after him. They caught him, and they sat on him for like 7 to 9 minutes in the police car, like the wagon, like the truck, and he ended up dying. And 4 years after, his family, they are still trying to get
justice
for Adama. They're trying to get a process done right, because all along they've been lying. They've been doing whatever they wanted with this case. Like, they did not interrogate the witness, because there is one witness. They entered the apartment of a man. He entered an apartment in order to hide, and the person saw the police, got to him, arrest him, and the person definitely saw everything. And 4 years after, there were a trial. The person never was interrogated for the trial. That sounds weird. This is terrible. This story is a representation of what's happening in France. When people say, yes, it's just in America. No, it's not just in America.
Wow. No wonder these Black Lives Matter protests have been going on across the world, because it's bringing light to a lot of other things that are going on around the world. It's not only America. It's unfortunate that Black people have to suffer this at the hands of police officers, but it's not anything new. If you know anything about history, 400 years ago, Black people were brought to America on slave ships. And so that right there tells you what these people thought about us. 400 years later, they still think about us the same way. You know what I mean? And we have an expert here who can share with us a little bit about those similarities. I just found this out recently. Lindy, I'm talking about you know that. But yeah, in South Africa, surprisingly enough, I'm sure, Sadie, you have a story too about someone in the UK who's suffered at the hands of the police. I think we've actually talked about something close to that one time. But even in South Africa, there's a lot of similarities all the way from 400 years back till today to similarities to America. Slave trade and even to police brutality till today. Share with us a little bit about that, Lindy.
I guess with us, it's not more the slave trade, but I think we were colonized in 1652. So we had the colonizers come in saying, oh, we want to come and trade with you guys and, kind of live with you guys and everything. And then kind of at the time when they came in with all these promises of, we're going to work with you guys. Whereas they came obviously with the ultimate goal was to take over South Africa, you know what I mean? Where South Africa became one of the colonies, it became a Dutch colony. And then we found that as time went along, the British came along, they were fighting for parts of South Africa as well. And just the history as well, I think, because slavery has happened, because in South Africa as well, we, as you know, South Africa is a multicultural nation where we had people even from India who were brought over to South Africa as slaves. They came here to work in the fields. They were brought over to work as slaves. We had Asian people that were brought over to work as slaves, like Malaysians were brought. So basically that's kind of formed groups in South Africa. Like in Cape Town, you have the Cape Malays, who are kind of descendants of the San, who are like the San are the, like you can say, the original people who are the, you know what I mean, the like the original inhabitants of South Africa. And then you have the Black people as well. So they live together. Xhosas are also kind of tied to the San people in, you know, in a way. So they kind of had Cape Town there, and that was their domain, that was their home. And then you had the Dutch who came in, killed people, kind of said that this is the crazy part as well when you think about this, because they had this thing where they said when they came into South Africa, saying this was the promised land, and this is the promised land that was promised to them by God, so that it's like they had to kill off the natives because this was their Israel per se. And I'm like, what? But that's what they think, and some of them still think this to this day. They say this is the promised land, so it's like we don't belong here as Black people because this is not our land. We should go back north. I'm like, where are we going to go back north? Because this is where we come from. You guys are the visitors here, or you guys came here as visitors and we allowed you, because that was the thing I think with African culture where we, it's like we accommodating. We allow people, we're like, okay, you come into my house. I'm going to treat you as a guest. You come in, treat you as a guest and everything. I think maybe that was, I'm not going to say it's a mistake that we made, but we treated them as guests. They came in, they took over the land. And but then when you look at the timeline as well with America, it's just crazy, because you think of the 300 years, you think the oppressions like that happened in America as well. The oppressions that happened is like the timeline is so similar, because you think Jim Crow apartheid started the exact same time. It was like in South Africa, 1940s, I think in the 1940s, that was when apartheid came in, where it was like, we need to put Black people into settlements, or people of color into settlements, because white people need to rule this land. Again, the whole thing of the promised land, they need to rule this land. The land was taken, so a lot of the land, so there were rules that were, like I remember in 1913, there was a land rule that came in that
she said she remembers in 1913. You know, back in 1913, I was sitting in the living room and
well, in 19, you know, the land rules, I was reading about it. So the land, like this appropriation of land thing in 1913, that was the first one that they said, it was written into law saying that you take away the land from the natives, you sign it over to white people, they're the ones who take over the land. And there was a clause as well saying that a Black person can never sell land to a Black person, but they can sell it among each other. But a Black person can sell their land to a white person, you know what I mean? So that came in. Then after that, they think they owned about, I'm not sure it was a 90-something percentage of the land. Then in 1936, they came and did an amendment and said, oh no, we're going to give you a little bit more land. So basically Black people now own, like now they own about 87% of the land. Up to today, from 1936 up to today, they own 37% of the land. So in South Africa, there's this whole thing of land. You know what I mean? When you've heard about it with the land issue, and there's this whole genocide that's being talked about. And it's because of this land issue, because a lot of this land is ancestral land, and a lot of Black people are like, give us back our ancestral land, because on that land as well, you find that a lot of these people buried their ancestors, and now it's kind of barren land. Some people not using it for anything. So like, no, give it back to us, because at least then we can grow, we can have like agriculture, we can bury our people on this land, because this is the place that we know. But then I guess that's the issue that we're having right now in South Africa, because a lot of people think, oh no, the land grabs are happening. It's like, no, we're not grabbing any land. We just, if historically it's not yours, give it back to the owners. But I guess that's become a big issue, and it's an ongoing thing. So
the funny thing is that we just celebrated Juneteenth, and you know, the 4th of July speaks to independence to America. Juneteenth pretty much speaks to, it's not exactly that date, but it speaks to independence to Black people, where slavery was officially abolished. And that story that you just gave is pretty similar to what we're dealing with. You know, even Christopher Columbus, they say Christopher Columbus came and discovered America, and they're like, houseway, how? Because there were people here already. Like, how?
Yeah.
So now, you know, Black people want reparations. We want our land back. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing, the same thought, the same concept is going on here in America. It's pretty unfortunate, because, you know, if you guys are in your houses right now, if I came to your house and just kicked you out, right, and then said that I own it, what kind of mess is that? Like, that like it's mine. What kind? You know, we
Yeah.
these days it sounds weird, but this happened to our people years ago. You know, in 1913 when Lindy was in her living room, that it was going on. It was going on then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Even in today, like it's playing out in different ways, even because in the UK, I mean, obviously we
Not here.
you got hear me?
Can you hear her, Angel?
No, I cannot hear Sadie.
Oh,
Oh, we can hear her.
I can hear
Oh,
her,
so
yeah.
that's me?
Possibly.
maybe.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, okay.
Start talking again. Let's see if she can hear you.
Can you hear me now, or is it still no?
That's strange. You're not muted. I don't know. Lindy, can you hear her?
Yeah, I can hear her.
Yeah,
Okay.
my internet is shocking. I'm not gonna lie. I tried to move closer to the router, and it's still not.
The router. I have to say I'm loving these accents, by the way. The router. So, but go ahead, Sadie. Angeli, we'll tell her. We'll get her in here. Go ahead, Sadie. Oh, now she's stuck. No, Sadie. Okay, you're back.
I'm sorry. Yep, I'm back.
You're back.
My head. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Stuck. She's stuck again.
She's home.
Mm-hmm.
I even forgot. This is not going well for me right now.
That's all right. Go ahead. You're good.
Yeah, I can't even remember what I was talking about.
It's been so long. She forgot what she was saying.
I think I was basically saying that just we're talking about like slavery and pushing your way into another country and claiming it as yours, but even in the UK, immigrants were invited here. So a lot of Caribbean workers were invited in the 40s, 50s, 60s to come and help the UK economy, and they were promised British citizenship. But in the last like 5 years or so have been being deported just because they've decided, oh, we don't want immigrants anymore. So you tell the people that you invited and told that they were going to be British citizens that have lived here a lot longer than some of the English white people that live here that would claim that this is their country. Some immigrants that have come here have lived here longer than them, but now they've been deported after all their documents that were apparently the things that would have proved that they were given British citizenships were destroyed, just disappeared by the Home Office. It's crazy. I just think like we just can't win. Like we try and mind our business in our own country, then you come and destroy that and claim it. We try and live peaceably when you invited us, and then you're kicking us out.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. We have a bit. It's bad for Black people. And clearly, guys, thank you for all sharing. This is a clear indication that it's bad for Black people all over the world. Okay, and you guys only represent 3 separate countries, but I'm sure this is the testimony of other individuals in other countries too. It's bad. We have a few minutes left, and I definitely want to respect your time. For those of you that are watching, it's 11 p.m. Well, right now it's 12 midnight in all you guys' countries, right? Everybody's at 11 at midnight. Yeah. So another reason why I'm grateful to these ladies because they stayed up to do this for us. Okay, but as I can tell by the comments, people are enjoying what you guys are sharing. So again, I want to respect your time. We have a few minutes, and I usually just try to stay under 2 hours. Sometimes these lives be real good, so we go over, but we're going to try to stick to that time. But in terms of Black Lives Matter, have you guys been a part of? Have you looked out your window and seen the people marching by? Black Lives Matter. Now, let me say this disclaimer. Black Lives Matter is the name of an organization. Well, okay, so it started out as a hashtag because Black Lives Matter, right? But then I think they developed it into an organization who have recently developed, well, I guess it's not recently, but it's come out. They have some controversial beliefs and things like that don't go along with the entire America. So for the sake of this live, Black Lives Matter represents Black Lives Mattering. Okay. It represents this entire movement that has spawned across the country, across the world, in response to police brutality and just Black people dying at the hands of Caucasians or other races, across the world. So have you guys been involved in any protests? Have you seen it out the window? You peeked out the window? How has it affected your workplaces? Has anything changed based on this whole movement? Let me know.
I've been to a protest, the one for Adama actually, and there you could see signs: Black Lives Matter, justice for Adama, no justice, no peace. And it was very peaceful. It was the first march we did ever since being quarantined, so everybody wear their mask. And all of a sudden, I remember, because it was like a month ago, and I was there and I was like, okay, I'm happy to be here. I've been cautious because it's the pandemic is still here, and we're very happy to be here. You could see people were very happy to be here. It matters, to us, Black people. But there were not only Black people at the manifestation. There were people from all backgrounds: French people, white people, Asian people. And as I'm walking back home, the police came charging, and I was walking carefree. And all of a sudden everybody's running, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? And it was scary. And they started the fire, and my parents started calling me because they was on TV. There's fire at the protestation. There is, riots and everything. And I was like, Mom, there were nothing. We were just I spent hours there. We walked, we screamed, we were angry. She made a speech. Everybody was listening and everything. And all of a sudden, it went south. And at some point, we could see from down there, we could see people on the balcony, and there were officer of the law, supposedly. They had some bracer with something on it, and they were throwing rocks. And started like that. Why are you throwing stuff at us? We are here. We are doing the thing that we have the right to do. Manifestation is a right. So yeah.
So we call them agitators here. They agitate the protest. There are some images now. These are alleged. I'm not, because I wasn't there. Like Lindy was in 1913. I wasn't there. But there's images of of cops actually breaking windows at a store in Manhattan, and it looked like they were agitating the situation. They were in uniform and everything. They said that there were a lot of people they said at one point 80% of the people that were arrested in New York City for rioting were from other states. They weren't even from here. And I didn't get the numbers of them that were not Black. But they said a lot of people that were arrested were not Black, and these are people that were looting. The interesting thing is that I have a photography store in Manhattan that I go to pick up equipment every once in a while, and I went there this weekend to return some equipment, and I was looking around, and I didn't realize that this was the place where they were protesting, and everything was boarded up. The store said we're open, but there was boards all over the store. I was like, this is very, very weird. I'm glad I didn't end up in that protest. but I did end up in my local protest, and it was very enlightening, very enlightening. And I'm glad I was able to input my time into it. You know what I mean? Sadie, how about you?
I haven't been to any protests myself, but I know that there's been quite a few happening. Social media has been actually really ablaze with activity. There's a lot of just movement with just people's awareness. So like a lot of workplaces even are trying to now implement things to I guess promote more diversity and equality. Like Black people just got here. Like it's really bizarre actually. I find it quite strange. Like it's like a big, particularly in my workplace, like a big drive.
She got stuck again, but that's my mom, y'all.
Now and a lot. Am I back?
She said, "God bless you guys." Yeah, you're back, Sadie.
So yeah, a lot of our staff, all staff communications are things that are, you know, relating to Black Lives Matter, and even there are a lot of things that they're recalling because they think it's racially insensitive. So there are I think that I wouldn't have even have thought about, but they're like, if they even sound a bit like Black Lives Matter, they're like, oh my God, we're so sorry. Like, this was really insensitive of us and we shouldn't have done this. And, you know, we're really trying to be inclusive. And it's like, whoa, like, we've been here for a while, you know, we didn't understand. Like, it's so bizarre. Like, what is also bizarre is like people's, like the public's reaction. So my workplace also put like a 5 things that they were dedicated to do for the company to make us more inclusive and whatnot. And the comments that people were saying it was insane. Like, because we're a charity, so we're funded by people's donations. And a lot of people are like, I can't believe you're aligning yourself with them. And like, lives matter. And why is it even a thing? And I'm withdrawing my direct debits to you because like it's so weird. Like, the anger that it arouses in some white people, it's really funny. It's like, wow, okay, so if all lives matter, then you should be a part of this, no?
Yeah, you know, I think people think that just saying Black Lives Matter is that everybody else's life doesn't matter, and that's not true.
Yeah,
we're just saying that in the middle of you killing us, our lives matter. Like we matter. Like it's real simple. Has nothing to do with anybody else.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, because Angel said this too, I think that in the protests, you're seeing more than just Black people, which speaks volumes to the whole necessity of what is going on.
Yeah.
You know, it's needed, and you want to call them allies, you want to call them interests, you want to call them whatever. They're there. You know what I mean? And it speaks volumes to other white people. So that's making them mad too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's upsetting them too. Lindy.
You know, as well that we had I don't know how much you guys hear about like British news. But there are a lot of statues that have been pulled down in various like cities across the UK. And there was one that I wasn't there, but there's a picture that shows that it's white people that have pulled it down and like rolled it into the river. I was like,
that's funny because this white lady burned down Wendy's. and I don't remember what city. I think it was Atlanta. The white lady went and burned down Wendy's. Like but we didn't know whether to be like yes or no because we did it. Like we didn't know what to do. Guess they just left her alone. But I'm sure she got arrested. But she burned down white. I mean, all the camera and everything. She burned down white. Lindy, have you gone to any protests?
No, I haven't personally gone through any protests, but I was going to go to one, but then I know we were kind of warned beforehand that don't show up. The police a bit kind of bit aggressive because we've also gone through the whole Black Lives Matter thing in South Africa with the COVID, where we've had Black deaths as well, a lot of Black deaths where police have been taking out a lot more to the point where the police have been taking a lot more force on Black people and Black people in informal settlements. So, so we were warned, just like, don't show up, just for the sake of, just, you know, for the sake of, just for your safety, don't show up. But then people did show up for another march that was kind of, it was kind of a secret, just show up, don't. But then I think that mostly we've just been using social media just to kind of get the message across, and just to kind of, in solidarity with also with like American brothers and sisters, and even with other countries as well, because this is a global thing. Even in Australia, for example, you kind of think that, oh, what would happen in Australia? In Australia, the issue right now is that they have the issue with the Aboriginal people incarcerated. They have a higher incarceration than white people, you know what I mean? And it's like, they also have their own version of Black Lives Matter, because it's like, why Aboriginal people being incarcerated at higher rates than white people, you know what I mean? So I think it's all across the board. But then what I like about the whole movement as well, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, Black Lives Matter is a militant group. I'm like, no, it's not. It's, we're spreading it. We kind of trying to tell people that, yes, all lives matter. We understand all lives matter. But in that statement, can Black Lives Matter also? You know what I mean? We understand that everyone matters, but respect Black people, you know what I mean? Don't treat us as second-class citizens. Don't treat us as bottom of the barrel, or don't make jokes around us, racist jokes around us, and think, oh no, because I have a Black friend, so I can be a racist. No, it's like, respect us. The way you're going to respect other people, respect Black people as well. So I think what I like is the solidarity from like across the world with people of different races, where they're showing up and they're like, you know what, this is not right. I mean, this is long overdue, because I think it's 2020, for goodness sake, you know what I mean? It's like, well, are we still fighting racism in 2020? Sadly, we are. And I think it was bound to happen. I mean, even with America, with Trump, it was bound to happen, because it was just like, you had a Black president and then you go to literally a KKK president. It's just like, that was kind of like a tipping point, you know what I mean? So you look at that, and I think it was bound to happen, because that was just something that was, because I always wondered, I was like, okay, America's got a Black president, 8 years, and you kind of see the comments, and you kind of see things that are coming up. Like, most of the comments, they even come up here in South Africa, because you have people calling the president a monkey or something like that, you know what I mean? And these are people, and these are racist things, but then you can't call them out. Like here, at least in South Africa, where we have this thing where if someone's racist, you can actually get charged and you go to jail. Like, there was one woman who was calling Black people monkeys. She got charged. She got 2 years in prison. You know what I mean? So we have that, but then in other countries,
we need that over here.
No, exactly. Because it's like, if you're going to be racist, it's like, look, you can talk the talk and you can do the walk. You know what I mean? So I guess that's kind of a thing as well, where with like the whole, I think with the whole atmosphere of everything going on, this was bound to happen, because I think even like, I'm just going to go a little deep, but I think even spiritually as well. I think no, I'm just gonna go a little deep, but I think spiritually as well.
Let me get my offering together.
No, but I'm thinking.
I got $1.50.
No, it's weird, because I was kind of thinking about it, but I was like, even like, I think even spiritually, I think something has cracked. You know what I mean? There was how can I put it? There was covenants or something that have been broken. You can say, you know what I mean? And this is kind of like, it's a change of empires. You look at history as well. You look at, before an empire changes, something like this always has to happen. There has to be an uprising. There has to be people standing up. There have to be people fighting. And then you look at Gen Z, for example, this generation of, I don't care what my parents say. My parents can be the most racist. I'm still going to fight for Black lives. You know what I mean? Those are the ones that are going to usher in this new, you can say this new empire, if you can call it that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Exactly, because they're tired. Like, everyone's tired of the status quo, the way things are going. It's like, things cannot continue the way they're going. Things have to change. And I think we're at that point, we're at that tipping point where things are like, okay, we're there now. So what are we going to do now? Are we going to allow things to continue to be the normal, or is it going to be the new normal, where we allow, we're ushering in the new changes, but then at the same time, it's like we have to be the ones who are going to, as Black people as well, because we can see the world is in solidarity with us, but then it's like, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to, one thing I like about Black people, and I'm going to just say it right now, if we wanted revenge, we would have taken it out long ago. But we don't want revenge. We just want to be equal. You know what I mean? Just treat us as equal, because if we wanted revenge, we would have burned this whole world down. We don't want that, you know what I mean? Just like, treat us as people, and then let's continue on. So I think with us as well, just kind of the message, just kind of keep continuing on with the message. It's just, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm going to leave it off for now. It's just like that's where I am right now. So yeah.
Listen, you guys here, this thing is passionate to Lindy. You hear me? If she probably gonna be a one-man protest out there in the street, okay?
I
For all the
would.
people that didn't get their money. She gonna be out there for all the people that didn't get their money, for the black people. Everybody, she gonna be out there protesting by herself. I love it. I often wonder though, and we're gonna wrap it up shortly. I often wonder, is this having an effect on, is what we're doing having an effect on this whole Black Lives Matter and the whole racism thing? And I did look on the internet to see, and I did find one site. I couldn't find it today, but it listed all of the things that were changing based on our push, this whole movement. And I know one thing was the chokehold. They're trying to make it a federal law that police forces cannot use the chokehold anymore. I know they banned it in New York. I think it's banned in New Jersey and a couple other states as well. I know also, the NYPD, the New York City Police Department. So we had protests, and then they were rioting, they were looting and doing all that crazy stuff. So it put a lot of pressure on the department. And so it definitely put a split between people who were for it and people who were against it. I had a Facebook Live recently with a few law enforcement officers who kind of confirmed that. But the thing is, there was an article that came out that said there were police, about 400 police, who wanted to either do an early retirement or wanted to resign flat out because they felt like the top brass were not on their side anymore. And in the article, one of them was quoted as saying they took a knee with these people. So basically the captain or some high-ranking official took a knee with the protesters, and apparently they didn't think that was cool. So now, that's not the only reason, but I think that's a part of the reason. Now they want to quit. And for me, I'm like, bye-bye, so long. Because if you feel that way, you were probably a part of the problem. You're probably one of the police officers that are going to go out there and put a chokehold on a black man. You know what I mean? So I'm like, bye-bye. But this is the last thing. What effect do you think it has had on your country, Angel? These protests, do you feel like they're worth it? Do you feel like they're having any type of effect over there?
It's difficult to say anything about that now because French people, they are saying it's happening to America. There's no racism in France, and we're like, excuse me, like as a black person, I can tell there is racism in France. I work in a hospital and I barely see black people at the hospital having high jobs. Like now,
high job, yeah.
We have 2 black doctors and one social worker and me. So that makes 4 people.
She said that me.
And I don't see.
You probably could get off. You probably could get off as not black because you're fair skinned. No. Or they know.
No, I could not.
She's like, nope, you can't.
No. I'm black, definitely black, and in France, definitely seen as a black woman. So there's no way around. No, black. I'm black, and my last name says everything for me. Like I have a very African last name, so no doubt about it. But people, they're having a hard time. We have to have this conversation in France. We have to have this conversation. We have to educate people. I was about to say fights, but I've had fights, yes, with friends, with people, relatives, like my sister's boyfriends. They are white people. They don't see the problem. They don't hear the problem. And people in my surrounding, they're gonna be about to say, yeah, but he got killed because he's a bad person, like because he sell weeds. And I'm like, but if you sell weed, you go to jail. You don't die by the hand of an officer, like we have terrible people at the government, and they are robbing millions of euros, and they don't die, they go to jail. So if you're just like selling weeds and it's a bad stuff, you don't, and now in France people are like, yeah, but he was a bad guy anyway, so he died at the hand of the officer, but but no. And until people don't see the problem with saying like he was a bad guy, so it's okay if he died, then in France we still have a huge problem. It's like the tip of the iceberg, and nobody wants to dig in because we are a colonial country. We went the French country went to Africa, they went to the West Indies, and we had a whole share in the slavery and in all those bad stuff that happened in the world. And French people are like, no, it didn't happen, we are clean. And now we're talking about the statues, in the streets, the name of the streets. We have streets named after colonialists, like the people who had sheep and who brought slaves from Africa to the West Indies to America. And we have their names on our streets, and nobody move a finger because it's like, and now we have French people on social media, white French people, because I'm French, but we have white French people saying like, we are not going to take those statues down. Those are our heroes. Those are heroes. And we're like, excuse me? No, they are not heroes. They are part of the history. What they did is despicable. They are French people. They are part of the history, but we need to explain and contextualize things and give explanation, because I am French people and I cannot say that those people are my hero. No, they are not.
Right.
Right. And so there is two things in France. There are the French people like me who come from like my grandfather. Sorry, I'm getting personal. My grandfather was born in Senegal in 1941, and Senegal, which is in a country in West Africa, Senegal at that time was French. So my grandfather, he had French ID when he was born in Senegal, and it bothers nobody. It's like, yeah, okay. And now we are here, and they're like, well, if you're not happy, you can go back to your country. Like, excuse me, but when France was in war, they came and knocking on our doors, and they took our people, and they make them fight for the French, So that's why our story here in France is very difficult, because people have a hard time just acknowledging the facts and seeing the history for what it is.
Wow. So there's a lot of denial over there. I think,
full denial.
It looks like that's across the board, because I think Lindy said something like that too. I'm sure it goes on in the UK. It definitely goes on in America, because we have people that denying the fact that coronavirus is deadly. Meanwhile, we have hundreds of thousands of people dead. Like, that's just crazy to me. But I mean, that's something. And like I said, we're over our time, so I'm gonna bring us to a close. But I'm very grateful to you guys for sharing. You shared passionately. It enlightened me. A lot of our conversation enlightened me even further, to realize that, this struggle is not our own. It's not only American Black people. It's Black people across the world. And, Michael Jackson wrote a song, "We are the world. We are the children." Okay. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's not give it. Okay? We need to bring that song out. Okay. Let Michael Jackson sing. Well, no, we're not going to let Michael Jackson sing it. We're going to let his recording play. Okay. Because if Michael Jackson sings it, we're going to have a big problem. Okay. I need Michael Jackson to stay where he is and let the recording play. But it's serious. So we do have to unite across the world. And Lindy, you did hit on something. I was joking with you, but I really believe that some of this is God allowed. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's God ordained, but I'm saying it's God allowed. And I believe that God is doing something in the world to wake us up to a lot of different issues and a lot of different situations. And I feel like He's even bringing, as much as some Black people won't agree with this, but I think God is bringing a lot of Black people and white people together to see that we can coexist and that we can love each other, and we can be the remnant, okay, for the individuals who don't believe that, on the Black side and the white side, because Black people are racist. Don't get it twisted, okay, who hate white people. They can't stay with them dead, okay, just like now we don't have a Black KKK, but we might have, we do have some Black people who don't like white people staunchly. They just don't like them. Say what?
I don't call it racism. Here in France, we have people saying like racisme anti-blanc, like racism against white people, and I always get a little irked when I hear it because I'm like, this is not racism.
What? You get what?
A little like.
She said I get a little earn. I don't know. That might be the French dictionary. Earn. She gets a little earn. Okay. I think we'll get a little earn.
It's a thing.
It's a thing? Okay.
Yeah.
I believe you. That's hilarious. Yeah, no, I feel you. Hey, Danita. Danita Thompson said this was excellent and enlightening presentation. So I mean, yeah, it's bad, but we all have to get together and realize that again, this is not only a Black American thing. It is a worldwide thing. There's Black people in London. There's Black people in South Africa. There's Black people in Paris. Now that would bug me out. I didn't know about that. That there were so many Black people there, but clearly there's an issue there too. But ladies, again, I really appreciate what you all your input today, and I'm grateful to have met you, Angèle, and to hear your passion and keep fighting over there in Paris. Okay, for all of us, because you're not only fighting for the Parisian Blacks, but you're fighting for all of Blacks internationally. Okay, same with you, Lindy, and same with you, Sadie. Keep fighting. We will continue to win. We'll continue to as long as we continue to fight, we'll continue to win. These little wars make it what is it? No, it's a war. These little battles will help us to win the war. And so thank you again. Any closing type of remarks that anyone has to say before we end it? Anybody? Bro Hanson said thank you to you ladies.
Thank you.
And so did Beverly Smith. She said thank you as well.
I think I'm gonna have one closing remark. I think with all of this as well, I think education is needed from all across the board, because this is a systematic, because racism is how can I put it? It's systematic as well. You know what I mean? Like now we address the thing of the oppressors and the colonizers and everything, but then we're not done yet. We're going into the systems now. So I think once we've addressed that, we need to start getting into the systematic part of it in the workplaces and all of that. So I think the education part comes in, because there's a lot of people who are curious, but they don't know how to, like, you know, for example, a lot of people believe, oh, Black Lives Matter is a militant group. When they start finding out, it's like, oh, okay, you're not actually, you're very much we're pro-Black, yes, but pro-Black, but also fighting for the rights of Black people. I think it's where the education comes in, where people like us are going to have to start educating people, saying, this is why we're so passionate about fighting for the rights of Black people, fighting for the rights of people of color, because what's been going on history, we don't want that to happen again, you know what I mean? Because if you don't learn from your history, it will repeat itself again, you know what I mean? So even with teaching young children as well, it starts even in the schools as well with textbooks where, you know, they erase history of Black history. We start there where you teach your children that this is Black history. Black history does not start with slavery. Let's start there. It starts before slavery. Black people, you come to Africa.
Think that. Some people are like, oh, well, the Black history started in slavery. No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. You come to Africa, Black people were, this is the thing, Black people were, there were kingdoms established here. There were, you know, like Black people come from, you can say a royal priesthood, let's put it there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And if we start teaching each other, but we also start teaching other people that this is our history, this is where we come from, you know what I mean? So that people will respect us. Like the thing is, I think with this whole thing that's going on, there's a respect that's coming up as well. There's a lot of people, the crazy ones are coming up because they're like, oh no. And then these are the Karens. The Karens are they're losing it, you know what I mean? And it's good because now everyone's recording everything, so it's exposing everyone. But then at the same time, you have the Black people that are coming out and saying this is not right, and you have people who are in solidarity and saying, you know what, this is not right. And it's the education, because people have been saying, you know what, we're going to educate people, so let's continue. So that's my final words.
Education is key. Education is key. And listen.
And also,
Listen, don't laugh.
What
This
is
is
that?
important. All right, y'all rock. Come on.
I'm not singing along.
Okay, what I'm not gonna do is sing. Okay.
Also in the little things, like I feel like in Black Lives Matter and in like exploring racism, I think we often look at the big things like police brutality and stuff, but I think it's even in the little nuances and like having the freedom to, you know, wear your natural hair out and not feel like you have to justify it, or like if you have
Uh-oh.
And I couldn't hear her.
You can't hear her?
She'll be back, she'll be
a
back.
name that is not English.
Oh, Sadie.
She'll be back. She'll be back.
She looks like it's very important too.
It is.
Look at that face. I need to screenshot her face. Let me remove her and then bring her back. Let's see if that works. Oh, you're back. Go ahead, Sadie.
Yeah, what did you last hear?
You
I
were
don't
saying
know.
it's details.
Say that again?
You were saying it's in the details, in the little things, the right to wear your hair naturally at work. That's where it stopped.
Yeah. And
The
like,
nuances.
and like making sure people say your name right, because I get really irked at that. I mean, my name's quite an English name, but I know for anyone around me, like we have a lot of people from all over, and if someone says their name and like someone refuses to say it or says, "Oh, can I just call you so and so?" or like don't even make an attempt to say it, I get really annoyed, and I'm like, that is your one basic right. Like,
Right.
when people try to say, "Oh, can I just call you John?" or "Can I?" No, you can't. You call me my name. That's such it's a colonizing attitude of like, no, you're not Kunta Kinte, you're Toby. Like, and I just don't like that. I just don't like that, and I feel like I think we as Black people just need to stand up for even those things and feel like you have the freedom to, because you do. I think the more we kind of try and shy away and fit in is the more we let this kind of racist systematicness go on. And
So it's education and respect as well. We need to educate people about our history, and we need to demand respect from them as well.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. It's good stuff, ladies. So clearly we can continue this conversation, but for you guys it's 12:30, and I need to let you guys go to sleep. Although you seem bright and fluffy eyed, you must have drank some coffee or something before you go on the line. For me, I still got half of my night. Huh? You said what, Sadie? See, she always gets stuck in a cute position. You see?
I did.
Beverly said, each one teach one. Now we know to walk free and stay free. Woman, no more chemicals in your hair. Freedom. Black is beautiful. Black is beautiful, y'all. Power to our people, okay? Put your fist up. Power to our people, all right? And we're going to keep up this fight.
Yes.
And we're going to demand respect, and we're going to educate these people whether they want to be educated or not, okay? So thank you, ladies. Appreciate you all from the bottom of my heart. I really do. And
ladies,
thank you so much. It was lovely to meet all of you.
yeah, and you all are on the Instagram chat, so feel free to connect with each other. And make some international friends. I'm the only one that don't have international friends. You guys probably already do. But thank you again, ladies. I really appreciate it. And to those of you that watched this edition of Facebook Live with Dels, thank you for coming on board. If you're watching the replay and you stayed this long, you are the Goat. Okay, you're the goat. Well, all right, ladies. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, and have a blessed night.
Thank you.
Sleep.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.